Let's talk about something. Have you ever just felt like you're constantly swimming upstream, like you're trying so hard to build something to create order, but chaos just keeps winning? Well, what if that feeling wasn't just in your head? What if it's a fundamental feature of reality itself? Today, we're asking a pretty wild question. Is the universe actually designed to fail?
So, to even begin to unpack that, we've got to start with the absolute basics. Our universe, everything you see, everything you are, it all runs on a very specific set of rules. You know them as the laws of physics.
And what's wild is that these huge cosmic laws all boil down to just a handful of numbers. These are the fundamental constants of nature. Think of them like the universe's settings in a video game. They set the strength of gravity, the speed of light, the charge of an electron. These numbers literally dictate everything.
And that leads to this giant, mind-bending question that keeps physicists up at night. What if you could just reach out and tweak one of those settings? What would happen if those numbers were different?
I mean, even just a tiny, tiny little bit?
The answer is just staggering. You'd get nothing. An empty, boring void. No stars lighting up the sky, no planets forming from the dust, and for sure, no us sitting here thinking about it. This incredible sensitivity is what's known as the fine-tuning problem.
It really seems like we're living in a universe that is balanced on a razor-thin knife edge. Let's look at a couple of examples of just how delicate this whole thing is. Okay, take gravity. We all know it. But according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, if gravity were just a little bit weaker, matter never would have clumped together after the Big Bang. You'd just have this thin, boring soup of gas, forever. No galaxies, no stars, nothing.
But okay, what if you turn the dial the other way? Make gravity a bit stronger. The result is just as bad. Stars would ignite, sure, but they'd be these tiny things that would burn through their fuel in a flash. There'd be nowhere near enough time for complex life to even get started.
Or how about the strong nuclear force? That's the cosmic glue that holds the centers of atoms together. If you weakened that glue just a little bit, stars would be terrible at their job. They'd never be able to forge heavy elements. The whole universe would be stuck with pretty much just hydrogen. No carbon, no oxygen, the stuff we're literally made of.
So when you start stacking up all these different dials that have to be set just right, you start to step back and go, wait a minute, this looks less and less like a random accident and more like a coincidence that's so improbable it's screaming for an explanation.
And this isn't some fringe idea. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy puts it right out there. Our existence isn't some tough, inevitable result of physics. No, it's delicate, it's fragile, and honestly, it's kind of shocking that we're here at all. Here's a great way to picture it. Imagine a huge cosmic safe with dozens of combination dials. To open that safe and get a universe that has life in it, every single one of those dials has to be turned to one exact perfect number. The odds of just guessing that combination are, well, they're basically zero.
So what's the deal? This unbelievable unlikeliness has really led to two main schools of thought. Two big ideas trying to explain why our universe seems so perfectly tuned for us.
All right, let's break them down. On one hand, you have the design hypothesis. This says, hey, maybe the dials were set on purpose. It suggests there was some kind of cosmic designer who intentionally made the conditions friendly for life. Then, on the other hand, you have the multiverse hypothesis. This theory says our universe is just one of a huge, possibly infinite number of other universes. And if you have enough universes, each with random settings, then just by sheer statistics, one of them was bound to get the combination right. We just happen to live in that lucky one.
But hold on. What if both of those are just wrong? There's a really powerful counterargument that says maybe this fine-tuning doesn't need a grand explanation at all. This is called the anthropic objection.
It's built on something called the weak anthropic principle. Now that sounds super academic, I know, but stick with me because the core idea is actually pretty straightforward. It basically says that any facts we gather about the universe are going to be biased by the simple fact that we have to be alive to gather them.
To put it another way, of course we find ourselves in a universe that can support life. Where else would we be? It's like a fish being amazed at how perfectly wet its world is. We couldn't pop up in a universe hostile to life and complain about it, right? We can only observe the kind of universe that creates observers in the first place. There's a famous analogy to test this logic. Imagine a prisoner's put in front of a firing squad of 100 expert marksmen. They all fire. The smoke clears, and he's standing there, totally fine, not a scratch. So what should he think? Should he just shrug and say, well, of course I survived, otherwise I wouldn't be here to think about it? Or is it a little more reasonable to think, whoa, they must have intended to miss me? That's the big question. Okay, so we've got a designer, we've got a multiverse, we've got observation bias, but there's another way to look at all this, a much, much darker one. What if the universe isn't fine-tuned for our success, but for our struggle? What if it's designed to fail? This incredible idea was put forward by a Reddit user, of all people, who argued that maybe we're looking at this whole thing backwards. That feeling of constant struggle isn't a sign that we're failing at life. It's a sign that life is doing exactly what it's supposed to do in a universe that's hostile to it. The physics behind this is a concept you've probably heard of, entropy. It's the second law of thermodynamics, and it's an ironclad cosmic rule. It says that everything in the universe trends towards decay, disorder, and chaos. Life is this tiny, temporary bubble of incredible order. So we are in a constant and ultimately losing battle against a universe that wants to fall apart. Reality itself is hostile to order.
And this connects to a feeling that is so modern. The discussion makes this brilliant point about the difference between fear and anxiety. A 19th century coal miner felt fear, a sharp, immediate reaction to a real danger, like the mine collapsing. But so much of modern life is defined by anxiety, this constant low-grade hum of dread about, well, everything. The argument here is that this modern anxiety is our hyper-aware biology finally waking up to the cosmic horror of entropy. It's the feeling of being programmed to survive and build, while living in a reality that's programmed to decay.
And that brings us right back to the beginning, but with a whole new layer. We see a universe balanced on a knife's edge, and we wonder if it's a miracle or just a lucky break. But maybe that's not the right question. Maybe the real question is this. Is our constant, heroic, and ultimately doomed struggle against cosmic chaos, is that a flaw in the system? Or is that fight the very thing that gives our brief, beautiful moment of order any meaning at all?